Hi there. Welcome to Your Aha Life, the podcast, for those who want more for their lives, more joy, more purpose, and more fulfillment. I'm your host, Tanya Harris Cornelius. In each episode, I will bring you stories of insight and inspiration to help you craft the life you dream of living, your aha life. After listening to today's podcast, follow me over to my private Facebook group, the AHA Community, and on Instagram at tanya.yourahalife, and we'll continue the conversation. Now let's get started. All right, here we are. I want to take this time to welcome you back to Your Aha Life, the podcast. So happy for you to join me. I'm the host, Tanya Cornelius, and I have with me a wonderful guest. She's going to be my co-pilot today. We're just going to be vibing off of one another, riffing off of each other. Just two women having a great conversation about a really important topic. Chauncy Renay. So let me tell you a little bit about Chauncey. Chauncey is an associate marriage and family therapist, speaker, and podcast host. She has her own podcast. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. She received her bachelor's degree from the University of California at Berkeley in social cultural anthropology. You know, of course, I'm going to say all that. And has a master's degree in counseling from California State University, Los Angeles. Her podcast, Living Louder, is a weekly reminder that feeling fearful is never an excuse to give up. So, first of all, I want to welcome you, Chauncey, to Your Aha Life.
Yay! Thank you so much, Tanya. I'm so excited to be here today.
Oh my God. Yeah, we were just talking before I hit record, right? We're both in our homes. We both have our little fur babies with us. So we never know. We never know what's going to happen or what they're going to decide to do. But we're just hanging out today. And we are talking about, what your podcast is about. And so before I get into that, let me just say your podcast, Living Louder. Oh my gosh, it's one of my favorites now, Chauncey. I love it. There's so much to love about it. Such positive energy. I want all my listeners at Your Aha Life. Yes, I'm okay that you go and check out Chauncy Renay with Living Louder. She's talking about empowered, just how not letting our imperfections, keep us from living richer, fuller, more powerful and empowered lives. And that's what we're talking about today. And that, I mean, how rich is that? That is such a wonderful topic to talk about. But I just want to give a little bit more love. I'm just having like a mad crush on your podcast. So here's what I love. First of all, it's short, digestible chunks. And it is so positive and wise and real and funny and a little touch of spirituality in there too.
Got to sprinkle that in.
You got to sprinkle that in. Hey, that's what we are. It's all of what we are, right? Yes. And I love that you start with good news stories, that, and not just here in, not just where you are in California or just the United States, but global good news stories. Believe me, I was listening, and then you always end with a call to action. So get ready, because I'm going to have you end today with a call to action. So
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I have to tell you, one of the, a lot of them, choosing joy, sitting in patience.
Yeah, sitting like in your place of patience.
Yes. The Rumi quote that you recited there.
I live by that quote.
Oh my gosh, I know why. I knew snippets of that quote, because we always pull out. I love quotes, by the way, and poetry, so we have that in common.
Yes.
And but in that quote, I'm used to the snippets, like what you're seeking is seeking you. You know,
Yes,
this was
yeah. The little ear, what is it, like the little earworms or the little
yeah, little
catchphrases
earworms, the
inside.
sound bites or whatever. But
Yeah,
when you read the full thing, I
yeah.
felt all of it. I felt all of it, and it came at a great time.
Oh, good,
know,
good.
it came at a
Yeah.
great time because, I've been going through my own little funk. So this podcast today of, embracing imperfections,
Mhm.
embracing anxieties, fears,
Yeah,
self-doubt, all that stuff,
yeah,
and moving on anyway, getting to the other side of that. I think in your opening, your intro, you said, taking that leap of faith.
yeah.
And so anyway, I've been talking enough.
Ah!
Your
You can keep
turn.
going, Tanya.
No, no, no. Hey, I could talk the whole show about your podcast. And
Mhm.
I really do want all of the listeners and when I put this on YouTube, viewers, to go check Chauncy Renay out and Living Louder. And we may talk about it a little bit more near the end, but
Yeah,
Chauncey,
absolutely.
so glad to have you here. But the topic is really important, right? Because um, people do have big dreams, big goals. And, it always is a little sad to me that most people do not realize their full dreams and their full goals
Totally.
in life. And a lot of it has to do with we will let, these barriers, these self-doubt, these anxieties and fears um, take over. So
Right.
I'd love for you to share like how you got to this. How did you get to Living Louder? Tell us a little bit about your own personal biography, and then we'll just go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to. And before I go into that, I just have to say, I love talking to you. I have listened to your podcast too. I fangirl over it too. It's so good. It's so deep and rich, and just your aha life, that theme is, it's so fantastic. I love hearing from different people, like their aha, like Oprah, your aha moment, that sort of thing.
Well, she's
It's
the
so,
queen, right? She's the
the
queen of
queen.
those aha moments. Yeah.
Yes. And so I think that concept is just so incredible, that you can have different guests and pull your listeners into different aspects that we wouldn't necessarily have gotten into. So I'm fangirling over here too. Don't
Hey,
worry.
hey, it's allowed, and I'm so thankful for that. Thank you for enjoying your aha life as well. So the feeling is mutual.
Absolutely.
So,
So
Tanya Renee, tell us about you. What's going
yes,
on?
you got the tagline exactly right. Living Louder is about embracing imperfections and taking a leap of faith into a richer, fuller, more empowered life. Gives me goosebumps too.
Yeah, yeah.
And yes, so it, it had been quite a journey for me coming to be able to put all of that into one tagline, right? Because it's so many different aspects all in one. But what I will say the key was embracing imperfection,
Mm,
and how, once you fully embody the idea of embracing imperfection, you can use that as a key to unlock so many different aspects in your life.
wow.
And so, I really started eh, coming into embodying that because I was not embracing imperfection. I was doing the exact opposite of that. I lived my life for so long in a performative way,
Mm,
where it was about, how am I coming across? How am I being perceived? Did people like what I said then? Oh, people were laughing. That must mean they like me. I'm at work, and I have to be like the most on top of my game, like over everybody else. And so eventually that started to crumble. And I'll tell you exactly when, because I can pinpoint it very easily in my
yeah,
life.
yeah.
It was just maybe 6 years ago. I was working full time at a company that I had been there at the time about 6 or 7 years. So I had worked my way up a little bit in this company. And I, at the same time, decided to go into a graduate program for marriage and family therapy. So I was doing marriage and family therapy full time, and I was also working full time. And I got a promotion at work. And so I'm already at my max, already at my max. And of course I said yes to the promotional opportunity because in my mind that's just what you do. You if there's someone giving you an opportunity to advance yourself, to appear and seem more, what's the competent, you do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't
I
even
mean,
give it.
that's what it seems. It seems just right, like a no-brainer. You're getting a promotion. That's a sign of progress. That's a sign of something good. And
Yeah,
so, yeah, I very few people would turn it down. So you took the
right.
opportunity.
Or even think about, is this what I want to do? Is this where I want my energy to go? Because if I'm working harder towards a promotion, that means that something somewhere else is going to be let go a little bit. I'm not going to be able to fully complete the other tasks that I have to complete. And so I just, without thinking, I took the promotion. And of course, grad school student council comes around, of course I'm running for student body president. I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
we know how this story goes, right? And for what, Tanya? Why? So I'm student body president now, working full time, grad school full time, going, going, going. Not to mention, I already have a chronic illness and it flares during stress. I'm
Mm.
not even thinking about that. I'm pushing myself and pushing myself to keep going. And so I sustained for about a year. Um, and then what ended up happening was a very close friend of mine ended up passing away. It was extremely sudden. I was texting with her the day before. She said she wasn't feeling good. And then the next day she was gone.
Wow. Wow.
And wow,
Wow.
wow.
That's tough. It's wow. You know what? I knew that when we talked
Mhm.
before, we had kind of similar ways,
Yeah.
high achieving ways, which a lot of the listeners to your aha life are high achievers. So I know they're already resonating with your story of, when we see these signs, these things that all reflect achievement, we go after them, we go after them, we go after them,
Mhm.
sometimes without any regard for all the different trade-offs that we're making, and particularly around our well-being.
Yes.
And then something like that happens, you lose a very close friend. It
Mhm.
kind of gives you, that's one of those pivotal moments
Yeah.
in life. So tell us what happened.
Yes. So I'm hard-headed, Tanya.
Uh-huh.
And that should have been my moment to take a seat,
Mm.
evaluate my life, evaluate where I wanted it to go. I didn't do that. I went to work the next day. I found out the news at 8 o'clock that night. And this is a good friend of mine. I went to bed at 8 o'clock that night, or I found out that night. And the next morning, I was up, dressed, and at work by 8 o'clock the next morning. Did not take a break. Um, and I took the part that like kills me the most is knowing I took a half day for her funeral.
Mm.
I went to her funeral in the morning.
Why, Chauncey? I'm just curious. Why you
Yeah,
found out about a very close friend passing
yeah.
away at 8 p.m. and you're back at work
Mhm.
the next morning, half day to the funeral? What was behind that? What was driving you so much?
That's such a great question. And I do think it goes back to what you're saying about being a high achiever. For me, there was no room for weakness.
Mm.
And in my mind, taking a step down and taking a day off showed that I was weak. It showed that I wasn't able to complete my tasks at work, especially in this new promotion that I really thought I need to prove myself. At school, I needed to be the person who knew the answers and, running the student council. I felt like my worth was tied into those things.
Yeah.
And that by slowing down production, I was showing that I'm not capable.
It's very typical for type A, high achieving people. I just wrote a blog article that will come
Mhm.
out um, this coming week on, kind of some hacks, some career hacks. And I call it like 3 truths, 2 lies, and a dare. But
Oh,
one of the lies is that type A people are more successful.
God.
And I was like, yeah, if you define success as work obsessed and, all these things that honestly, type A people also have the, highest, hypertension, heart disease, anxiety, all those
Yes.
things, because work becomes how they define themselves. And so we've all, I mean, high achieving people, we've
Mhm.
all bent that way. Now, whether we course correct it, which I'm hoping today you're going to tell me you course correct it, but we've all bent that way. And then something happens. Maybe
Mhm.
it was you coming to terms with the death of your friend, and I'm going to let you finish, but
Oh, yeah.
something jolts us
Yes.
so that we can course correct
Yes.
if we pay attention, right?
If we're paying
If we're
attention,
paying attention. Yeah.
yes,
So
we can.
tell
Life
me, so
gives us
keep
that
going.
opportunity. I'm sorry, say that again.
I was just saying, keep going because I
Oh,
could go
okay,
on
okay,
and
yeah,
on. Yeah.
absolutely. Yes, if we're 100%, if we're paying attention, life gives us so many opportunities to redirect. I mean, even the fact that my friend passed, that was an opportunity for me, and I was too thick-headed to
Yeah.
to see that opportunity. So you know what? Life is going to give me more opportunities. And one thing I always say, if you don't sit down, life is going to sit you down.
Mm.
And that eventually ended up happening. All of the stress that was involved with now navigating these different things in my life. And can we just talk about being a human being? Like, on top of all these extra stressors that we put on ourselves, we also like have to take out the trash when it stinks. And we have to get milk, and we have to brush our teeth every day. Like, sometimes that's hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes the
Just
just
living, right? Just living, just
living,
being. Yeah.
just being, we need gold medals for that,
Yeah.
especially this year and last year. I would like
Oh,
my gold medal for existing.
yeah. I don't know. What's the other side of gold? Platinum, Oh
Correct.
my God.
Triple
This
platinum.
year, yes, triple platinum, for
Yeah.
sure. For sure.
So, eventually my body started breaking down because of stress, and it was just no longer an option for me to keep going at full speed. My grades started suffering. I started getting called out more at work. And, you know, the thing is, and here comes that little sprinkle of spirituality, that we got
Hey,
to put
let's
in here.
sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. Yes.
So the thing is, because I wasn't taking care of myself, that gave other people permission not to want to take care of me.
Hmm.
So, because I wasn't asking for what I needed at work, because I wasn't taking a break, my superiors were wanting more production from me.
Yes.
And my friends didn't come around as much as I needed them to, because I wasn't expressing to them how much I needed. If I'm sitting here fronting like everything is going great,
Right.
everyone's going to treat me like everything is going great.
Yes.
That's just how it works. And
Amen,
so,
sister.
yes.
Amen. Yeah, let's sprinkle a little spirituality there. Chauncey, I think you read, I might as well, I could have sent you the draft
Mm.
to, to my blog article. One of the
Mhm.
things is about setting boundaries, and one of these career hacks is setting boundaries for your well-being. And
Mm.
in it, I say, people think you're always accessible because you're always accessible. We teach people how to treat us.
Correct. Correct. Absolutely. And if we're not asking for what we want, if we're not showing up for ourselves,
Right.
because that's all it was me taking care of myself. If I had asked for days off, if I had asked for 5 days off, people would be like, what's wrong? Take the time that you need. You
Right.
know what I mean? If
Yeah.
I had rested, if I had chosen, this time I'm not doing student council. Sorry, somebody else got to step up. Vice Pres, it's all you.
Yes.
I would be taken care of more. My teachers would be like, what's going on? Let me give you an extension. But I didn't do that, right? And so eventually the grades start slipping. And what happened was I finally the light bulb moment didn't happen for me, but I had to surrender, and I was juggling too much. So the first thing I did was step down at work.
Mm.
Um, step down from that promotion, and that was that. And that alleviated a lot of stress for me because I wasn't feeling the need to produce so much, improve myself so much. I was already good at my current job, so I keep that. And I ended up having to take a step back from student council. I didn't step down fully, but I took that step back and I took a semester off. I
You know
ended up
what?
taking.
And you know what? I bet your world didn't come to an end. This is what we think. We think if we step down, we step back, we
Mhm.
pause, we slow, whatever, that somehow everything is just going to start falling apart for us. But actually, things start getting better, right?
Absolutely. We think we are the glue that's holding everything together, and also we think that the world is watching us, and the world has expectations for us, and the truth is it doesn't. I mean, not really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not really. If we have expectations of of ourselves, the world will in turn, but like, yeah,
So what happened? So you went through,
uh,
you started making choices
yes,
for you.
yes.
And those choices, stepping down from the promotion, stepping back from student council.
Mhm.
So after you're doing all of this, what happened next?
Yes. So as I began stepping back, that's kind of when the realization came to me. Like you said, my world didn't end, things didn't end up crumbling altogether. And that's when I first started realizing, listen, I'm imperfect. I am not doing all of these things great. My friends still love me. My family still loves me. I still am thriving despite having to let go of things that I thought were defining me. And coming out onto the other side, realizing, yeah, that what I felt like was Chauncy Renay was not Chauncy Renay.
Mm,
Who I am, how I treat myself, how I choose to show up in the world is Chauncy Renay.
yeah.
And so that kind of ties into the whole living louder and the idea that we know exactly how to shrink ourselves. We know exactly how to fit ourselves into these little non special boxes because it's so much easier to operate in life that way. It's so much easier to not take chances, to not step out, to not grow into a bigger and fuller life. Because if I just stay in my lane, if I just wake up and do my thing and hang out brunch with the girls and come home and Instagram and go to sleep, if I, you know, watch, rinse,
Yeah.
repeat, all of that,
Yeah.
I am living a comfortable life. But there is something inside every single person. I believe every single person, if you dig deep enough, there's something that you want to do. There's something bigger that calls to you.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about you having to have your own podcast or your own TV show or your own blog. Maybe you want to volunteer at a soup kitchen. And every time you see the commercials for volunteering, you want to do it. But there's something that makes you scared, like that's holding you back from doing that. You have the power to step over that fear and to go and do that. Like we talk about dreams and goals and everything. They don't have to be these grandiose things.
No.
They could be these teeny tiny things that we want to do, but somehow we allow ourselves to just fold into ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, I love the analogy or the visual that I get when you say that is because, and you said something that really resonated is that, um, we could be living comfortable lives.
Yes. Yeah.
So everyone does not have to. Let me finish this thought. I have so many thoughts running through around
Yes.
my head
Yeah.
right now, but you know, everyone does not have to be miserable,
Mhm.
right? So you could be living a comfortable life
Mhm.
and still know deep within
Mhm.
that your soul is calling for more. There is something else. And the
More.
more is not the promotion, the this, the that, the bigger car, the house, the more is something that is this more meaning in your
Yeah.
life. And I call it more joy, more purpose, and more fulfillment. But
Mhm.
whatever you call it, it's you're right. It does not mean that everyone is, in a dark corner sad, but
Yeah.
they perhaps have been living their lives conforming, if you will,
Mhm.
to expectations, to what they think they're supposed to be. And I love what you said when you started really going inward and
Mhm.
started living Chauncy Renay. And
Yes.
that's when purpose, that's when meaning, that's when happiness and joy
Yeah.
kind of come up. So I don't know. It just really struck me that we can still be comfortable, but there's something deep, and it. And if
You
you
know
can
it.
push it down and you can ignore
Yeah.
it for a long time,
Mhm.
but it comes back.
Absolutely. And I love how you're saying more, because I feel like sometimes I say like bigger, greater, you know what I mean? And that I feel like that puts a little bit of pressure, but I love that word more, because that doesn't have any connotations. It just means more.
Yeah.
I just love it's so much gentler and sweeter. Yeah, I
I love
really
your
like.
richer, fuller, more
Yes.
empowered life too.
Yes. Yeah.
Because richer, I mean, certainly it could mean financial, but richer lives mean richer relationships,
Yes.
just a fuller life, not living in fear, not letting fear, keep you
Yeah.
from pursuing your goals. You say something, I think it was in your intro, that, like, embrace your fears, right?
Yes.
Don't you don't feel like you have to push them down. I think we talked about this
Yeah.
right at the very opening of
Absolutely.
this, right?
Yeah, yeah, embracing your fear and
How,
knowing.
I mean, that's easier said than done. So how would you tell people, like,
Yes,
just go with the fear, go with it?
absolutely. So that's actually step 2 of
Okay.
of one of 3 things that I like to encourage, and we can get into it a
Okay.
little bit more, but understanding that fear is part of the process, right? So a lot of us choose to believe. So let's say I want to write, I want to be a writer, I want to blog. I think it's interesting, I think it's fun. I'm not as good as Tanya might be. Tanya just told me about her blog.
Mm,
I might not be as good as Tanya. So why would I even start that? Or who's even going to read it? We hear all those thoughts in our head about why we wouldn't be good enough, why we shouldn't pursue it. And a lot of times we'll hear those thoughts and we'll think of them as truth, or we will give into those excuses as though they're facts,
mm,
right? As though they are totally reasonable reasons as to why we should not pursue it. How is that possible? Just because we have different thoughts running through our head doesn't mean that we have to give them space. It doesn't mean that we have to give them room. Once we understand that fear is a part of it. If you want to write a blog, you could have been writing a blog, but you're choosing those thoughts of fear to stop you. Don't
mm,
let those thoughts stop you. Every single person who's successful in this world has had those thoughts. They have just chosen to step through those and got to the other side.
wow.
You're not unique in the fact that you have doubts. You're not unique. Every single person has doubts. And once you learn that doubting is just part of the process, it's part of the process to get to where you want to go. You have to step over something. Come on, you got to get over it. You know what I mean? It's not going to be smooth sailing this whole time.
It's
So you do have
amazing.
to step into it.
You have to step into it. It's amazing that, things I say is, why are you talking yourself out of it? Talk
Yes.
yourself into it.
Yes.
We talk ourselves out of things,
Mhm.
maybe to relieve the pressure, or to leave, to give in to the fear, give in to the doubt, instead of talking ourselves into it and
Yep.
saying, in spite of the fear, in spite of the doubt, I'm moving on anyway,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. In spite of it, I'm going through it. Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
you said that's number 2, and I know we
Yeah.
were talking about this. You said there are 3 things you really like to leave with listeners, and so the second one was understand that fear is a part
Mm-hmm.
of the process. Let's go back to number 1. What is the one
Sure.
thing you want
Yes.
to know?
So number one, we kind of been talking about it, but in more detail, ask yourself, what am I waiting for? And sit with that.
Mm,
If you want to open, I don't know, if you want to bake cupcakes for your neighbors because you enjoy baking and you have sat on that idea, some of us have been sitting on ideas for 10, 15, 20 years. Ask yourself, what am I waiting for? And wait to hear the response. Because I think a lot of us are wanting for permission from somebody. We're waiting for someone to be like, you should do this. You would be good at this. Instead of digging deep into ourselves and knowing that just by us having that idea, just by having that idea circulating in our minds for however long it's been circulating, that's permission enough. That is your permission to go and to get after it. So ask yourself, what is it exactly that I'm pausing? You might have to work through those things first, you know?
yeah, yeah. I mean, you're so right. I'm soaking up all your wisdom.
Yes,
Like
girl.
you're like spitting out gems. Like I'm like, I think we're 20 years apart and I'm learning so much from you. And it's so,
Mhm.
so nice to be that, to just be in this exchange with you.
Yes.
But yeah, I think about how long I lived my life waiting for permission, waiting for validation, waiting for that approval, if you will, or being a people pleaser.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I will never say I'm 100% done with that,
Yeah.
but thankfully that doesn't dictate,
It's not ruling
like
your
it
life.
used to. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. But so many people are waiting for permission. And I love what you say, the fact that you have that in your heart, in your mind,
Mhm.
that is the permission
That's
right
the green
there.
light.
That's the green light right there, or else it would have never come to you.
Correct. And it never
Oh
would have
my.
stayed
You
with you.
talk about aha. You talk about that. If you, if you didn't have permission, like I don't know that you really need permission, but let's just use the word. If
Mhm.
you didn't have permission to be a writer or to be this volunteer or to help in this way or to serve in that way or to lead in that way, it would have never come to you.
Never. Never. You know,
That,
we all have.
that's an epiphany right there.
That's amazing. You
Yeah.
know, I just recently I kind of had this little visual come to me, and it was that we all have our little gifts that we are to share with the world. And once we all turn that light on, once we all see that green light and go, oh my gosh, the world will completely change. And I know that's a big goal and that's lofty, but look, we each have an opportunity to just do our part. And if we're just doing our part, that's all we have to do. Like that's all we're required to do. But
Yeah.
yes, see that green light and go through
Light
it.
and go. See the
Yeah.
green light and go and watch that green light just get bigger, brighter,
Oh my gosh.
all of that. And then
Yes.
your third one. What's the
Yes.
third?
And it's so funny because you kind of touched on it earlier too. And it's create your own definition of success.
Yes.
Create your own definition of success. We live in a world that is obsessed with likes. How many likes did this post get? How many downloads did this soundbite get? How many views did my video get? How high up in my company am I going? You know, all of these different things that kind of seem like visual markers of success. And I want to encourage your listeners today to redefine what success would mean to them. If you've been scared to, I don't know, we talked about being a writer, so I'll just keep going with that. If you've been
Okay.
scared to to write, decide what your definition of success is, because a lot of times we will choose to stop we'll choose to not pursue what we want to do because of all of these weird random external markers, like who's going to click on the blog, who's going to read it, who's going to share it. Is that really why you want to be a writer? You want to be a writer for likes, for shares? No, you want to be a writer because you love writing. You love thinking of ideas and putting them out there into the universe. That's why you want to be a writer, or whatever the reason is. But I guarantee it's not for likes and it's not for shares. So redefine what that would be for you.
I am about to get, you're going to finish that, but I'm
Yeah.
about to get a little reflective here
Mm,
and a little teary, but I'm going to
take
brush
it
back and
through.
hold back the tears. We were just talking about this, and we were talking about this in the terms of the podcast, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
podcasting is, it's hard to know like how big your audience is. It's
Yes.
hard to know like who's listening, and every now and then you get like a, you know, a
You get
review
down.
or a
Yeah.
comment that says, wow, I really loved your podcast. But sometimes podcasting, like writing, feels like a lonely job. Like
You're
you like,
shouting
I
into
don't
the void.
it's just going out there. You have no idea. You have no
Yeah.
idea how you're really doing. I mean, there are some big time podcasters that they know how they're doing or whatever.
Correct. Yeah.
But for the most part, there's a lot of podcasts out there, and I'll just personalize it for myself. I don't always know.
You
And
don't
so
know.
I've started to like reevaluate this thing until you just said this, Chauncey. So
Mhm,
this is why what you're saying is resonating with me also, and
mhm.
is giving me food for thought here, is that why did I decide to podcast?
Yes.
Did I decide to reach, did I decide to podcast to reach thousands? That would be wonderful.
That would
Or
be great.
hundreds of thousands. That
Yeah.
would be wonderful.
Yes.
Because I
Yeah.
believe I have a positive message.
Yes. It's
Um,
great. Yeah.
but it's also, if that doesn't happen to the magnitude or degree, why did I start? And I
Mhm,
started because I felt I had something to say, number one,
mhm.
and I love what we're doing right here today.
Yes.
We're having conversations that matter
Yes.
about great topics. I got to know you through
Yeah.
this. So
Yeah.
so this is richness enough, you know,
Mhm.
and if it helps other people to live better lives, live more, you know, live richer, fuller, more empowered, that is the best thing.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
why did I start? I started to have these kinds of
Mhm.
conversations that really mean a lot to me, and hopefully they're meaning a lot to other people. So thank you for saying that.
Absolutely. You know, behind the curtain, like you said, podcasting, sometimes it just feels like I don't know if anyone even really listened. Do people even care? Because it takes hours to put together a
Yeah,
podcast. And so you want a little feedback, but it just sometimes it just is not there. And
right.
so you have to push yourself and motivate yourself. And I understand, I truly do. And I will say for me, again, behind the curtain a little bit, for me, the definition of success is if at least one person says, hey, that really resonated with me, you know, if one person, whether it's like on an Instagram comment or a text or like, oh, that was so funny, I laughed, it brightened my day. One person per episode. That's it. That's it. That's my definition of success for now. I don't know how long that's gonna
Hey,
last,
I'll
but
take it
for
too.
now.
I'll take it too. Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
know, so for everyone out there, redefining what success means to you and choosing to go by that, because let me tell you, if you're going onto forums with other people who have the same ideas as you, or even just like kind of looking out into the universe, seeing other people who are pursuing the same passions and goals, there will always be someone doing way better than you. There will always be that. There's always going to be people who are doing worse. Okay. And I'm saying these in quotes, like worse or
Yeah.
better. So
Yeah.
they're getting
'Cause
more
it's
like
all
more.
judgment, right? It's all
Yes,
judgment. Yeah.
correct. Yes. And so if you don't have your internal idea of what success is, you are going to be looking to the left and to the right, and you're going to be wanting approval, and you're going to be, no, seek that internal validation.
Mm.
Once you have that, you're good, you're solid. Nothing can move you.
Yeah.
Decide for yourself what success means. Yeah.
Yeah. So good. So rich. So these three things.
Mm-hmm.
Ask yourself, what am I waiting for?
Yes.
What am I waiting for? I already
Mm-hmm.
have permission. I already have the green light to go pursue my goals and dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, understand that fear, imperfections are just part of the
That's
process.
part of it.
That every successful person has fears,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it's just not letting them stop us.
Yes, they're not excuses.
They're
Yeah.
not excuses. And then thirdly, create your own definition of success.
Mm-hmm.
I love this. So rich.
Yes.
So
Tanya,
rich.
can I add a bonus one just
Yeah,
really quick?
heck
Please?
yeah.
Okay, good. So bonus, go at your own pace. Go
Mm,
at your own pace.
that's a good one.
Yes, because you might you will think, okay, I asked myself what I want. I created my definition. Okay, now I need to gather this, and I need to have my Instagram page, and I need I need top tier equipment. If I'm going to do this, I am going to do this. And so, and then you're stalling. Plain and simple, you are stalling. So go at your own
Yeah,
pace.
these are hidden excuses. We don't
Oh,
call
yeah.
them that, but that's what they are. And
Yep.
that's how fear manifests itself. Just
Yep.
create one excuse after the other to keep you
Mhm.
from moving forward. And at the end of
Yep.
the day, you just got to move forward.
You
You
just got
know,
to move forward. So create that date of where this is when I'm launching or this is when I'm doing the thing. And then if you're not ready by that date, you got to do it anyway. Use what you have and do it anyway. And then you'll build. It will
yeah.
build over time. In a couple of weeks, you can, grab other pieces from whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
I love the going at your own pace, but I also love start before you're ready.
start before you're ready. Yep.
Start before you're ready. Yeah.
Yep. That's
So
it.
so we're at the last question, believe it or not. I mean, I don't know, have no idea how long we've gone on, but I don't even want to stop, but
I
we
know.
will. We
So
will.
good.
So the last question is your aha life, right? So I'd love for you to just tell us, what does living your aha life mean to you, and how are you, Chauncy Renay,
Mm.
living your aha life? Louder, of course.
Yes. Oh, what does living your aha life? I think for me, it's taking the time to be still and to figure out what my aha is, if that makes sense. I know that's a little meta, but like it's silencing the noise and turning off everything and sitting with some positive music on and really envisioning myself. Where do I want to be? Where do I want to go? What does it want to look like? Because once I have that visualization, I can get there. I can take the road there, but I need to have that vision. Otherwise, I'm just flailing.
Yeah.
And so
That
if
makes
I
all
have that,
the sense in the world. Yeah.
okay, good. Yeah.
It makes perfect sense, because I don't know that we get to understand that something is an aha moment for
Mhm.
us, or an aha insight for us, if we don't take time to be still and to
Yeah.
go inward and learn to listen, listen to what is coming up for us. So I think that makes perfect sense. And I think it's William B. Irvine who said, it's one thing to have an aha moment,
Mhm.
but the thing is, once you have it, you have to do something with that aha moment. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So this has been so wonderful. Again, living louder with Chauncy
Yeah.
Renay, living, overcoming, or no,
Yes.
embracing your
Embrace it.
imperfections. Yeah,
Yes.
to live a richer, fuller, more empowered life. Okay, last thing.
Yeah.
How can our listeners, viewers find you?
Oh, yeah, great question. So, as Tanya plugged, you can always listen to my podcast, Living Louder. I put out episodes every Thursday,
Mm,
and I am on Instagram at Living Louder Podcast. So, you can come find me there.
thank you, Chauncey. So
It's such
wonderful.
a pleasure. I
Yeah.
love this.
Yeah. Thank you for joining me. Come back again for another episode that will inspire you to live the life you dream about and the life that you're meant to live. Now head on over to my private Facebook group, the AHA Community, and to Instagram at tanya.yourahalife, and let's continue the conversation. I'm Tanya Harris Cornelius, and this is Your AHA Life.